Hello and welcome to the weekly advanced self-review. This is a review to see how your week has gone and also to help you plan for the week ahead. The best time to do this is anywhere from a Friday to a Monday morning, but the Monday morning should really be a last resort. It should be done before Monday so you can start your week with the knowledge as to what you're going to do. And it certainly helps you feel more motivated with what you're about to achieve for your week, rather than getting up on a Monday feeling a bit uncertain about what your day is going to look like and what your week's going to look like, and that can have a very big knock-on effect. So I prefer this to be a process that's done before Monday morning, but anywhere between Friday and Monday morning it would be good, depending on when your week starts, of course, but you have that 4-day period, 3-day period plus a morning. So let's get into it. First, you have the habit and routine tracker. If you have the main Notion dashboard that I have provided in previous editions, then that's where you will see this habit tracker, or you can make your own. If you don't have one or don't want one or don't use one, then you can just ignore the step and take it out using the 6 dots here and just click delete like that, and then do the same for the table as well. And this is just an example, 10k steps as an example. This could be a general habit throughout the day or a morning routine. For me, it's a morning routine, but I make sure that all the main habits that I'm focusing on is actually in my morning, so I get them done first thing in the day. But again, this could be throughout the day or in the evening, in the morning, whatever works for you. And make sure that whatever habits you have are, and this is again covered in the main Notion dashboard, but going over it again quickly anyway, ensure that the habits you have are ones that you either currently have or are building towards, but don't add too many if you're still building towards them. Add them one at a time so you can stack them, so ensure that you actually have them on the go and they are consistent before you add another one. If you try and add 3 habits take a while to actually be able to do consistently, automatically. So trying to do 3 at once can be a bit of a struggle. So try not to go too overzealous on that one. But yeah, the tracker here with the parts ticked off, you can just copy it from the main page if you're ticking off as you go, or do them not in memory, because if you can do it in memory, then that's great. If you don't have too many, then it's kind of easy to track, but if you have quite a few, then it gets a bit cloggy. So make sure that you're doing this on the homepage if you are doing it, or anywhere if you have a habit tracker anywhere. But that's the first thing to look at to see if you are sticking to your habits. And when you get a lot of checkboxes like that, it's very evident as to what you're doing, not doing, and what days are good or not so good. Snapshot of the week, things you've completed and uncompleted. However you plan your week, again, I use Notion for all of my things, ensure that you show it's better if you're able to have a thing that you can see everything that you plan to do, both achieved and not achieved, all the things that you set out to do, and have that as an overview here. Then all the things you completed, so you can have a comparison of the things that you set out to do and the things you completed, and then the uncompleted things as well. It's important to see all of these things because you will notice a pattern depending on how you present it. Again, for me, because I use Notion, I use the calendar database function, and what that does is it shows everything as a list, but on the days, right? And when I take a snapshot and I filter out the things that I've done and not done, and just by using a simple checkbox, then I can see the things that I've set out and the things that I've completed and what they look like in terms of their different types of work and the topics that I'm working towards, and any patterns in terms of what days are good and what days are bad. For example, I noticed that when I have a very busy Monday, if I do a great big chunk of work throughout the day and tick off a lot of things, that productivity slopes off throughout the week until I get to Friday and I'm only ticking off 4 or 5 things compared to the 10 that I started with. So that showed to me that I need to balance out my week a lot better, so I am completing the same amount of things each day rather than having this great big chunk of productivity and sloping off towards the end of the week, because you feel that slope as well. You feel that by the Friday you feel like you're not doing as much as you did at the beginning of the week, and you kind of get a bit so your motivation and productivity goes up and down like that, because on a Monday it goes up and then it slopes down, then Sunday evening it goes back up again, and it's difficult to function like that, because you have these bouts of, yeah, I'm doing really good, I'm not doing so good, I don't know what's going on here, I'm doing really well, and it's not so good for the mental, So that was really important for me to see. So having a snapshot like that is really good. Depending on how you plan your weeks or days, whether it be in a calendar or on a notepad to do, if you don't currently do it in a way where you can see the things you completed and uncompleted in a way that's comparison to all, I recommend you find a way that's best to do that. Again, Notion is great for that because then it's a simple check box. But this is something that actually made a big change to my awareness of what I was doing. So these snapshots, go under there, pictures, whatever it may be for you, but this is, where you post that. How do you feel the week went? Thoughts and feelings of how the week went in general. And again, this can be in areas of your life, professional, personal, social, all sorts, any hobbies that you do, how have they been? It's just for you to take stock of what you think and what you feel about your week. It's very easy to kind of, people say, oh, my week's been good, or that's not been so bad, or it's not been so good. But it takes a while to actually realize why you feel the way you do about your week. It's easy to think, oh, I wasn't as productive as I'd like to be. It's easy to say that, oh yeah, I did a lot this week, and it's easy to say that and just base it on a feeling. But when you really look inward and say, okay, well, why do I feel that I had such a good week? Is it because I had very balanced days and I did a lot on all the days rather than all on one day, for example? Or is it the opposite, where you don't feel it was so productive, and then when you look, it's because there are certain work that you set out to do that you really struggle with, and that kind of had a knock-on effect because you struggled to achieve it or struggled to get stuck in with it. When you really look at these things, you can see where the holes are in your processes. You can see the things that are holding you back or the things that are propelling you forward. But without looking at it, it's very easy to just go on autopilot and continue through the rest of the weeks, not realizing the things that are having a big hindrance or projection on where you are going. So take a moment to really stop and think about how the days went and why, and what you liked about them or what you didn't like about them, what the difference was. Even if it's the weather, for the past couple of days we've had rain, and I don't mind the rain. It's quite nice. It sounds nice on the patio, on the conservatory roof. Sorry. And it's just, a thing to look at, and it's just different, right? I'm watching the rain fall down the window. But when it's a grey day, when there's no rain, there's no sun, it's just grey, I don't like that because it's just boring. So although that won't completely knock me off productivity, obviously, it still has an effect on my mood because I'm not as jolly as I would be just by seeing what the weather's looking at, right? So small things like that, but taking stock of that and realising that, our moods can be affected by a lot. So it's important to know what affects you a lot. The weather might affect you a lot or not at all. I know some people going into the winter, it really, really affects them. And anything that isn't sunshine really affects them. And that's important to know that, because it's important on those days that you treat yourself accordingly, right? If it's a grey day and you've got hard tasks on, then there's a lot that can just be psychologically dampening, not dampening, but pressure. There could be a lot of pressure on you to perform well in the times of hardship. And there's always going to be pressure to perform well no matter what's going on. But make sure that you understand that sometimes it'll be easier than others. And that can be based on even the smallest of things sometimes. So right here, how do you feel the week went? What did I do well this week? As a list or just written, aim for at least 3 things you did well. The more, the merrier. Again, because it's very easy to skip over the things that we have done and achieved. Big or small. It could be that you did some extra exercise or did all the exercise you said you were going to do or wanted to do, or you got out of bed on time, or you ate well, or you achieved goals, ticked off tasks, helped a lady across the street, whatever it may be. Write them here. Ensure that you are recognizing yourself for your hard work, because in this world, it's when we achieve things, we look for recognition sometimes because we feel that we want to celebrate our success with other people. And very often, we feel we've done something well, we tell our friends or family or people about it, and it doesn't get met with the same response as you would hope sometimes, or they don't understand why that's such a big task, or it can be very easy to be not devalued, but your recognition doesn't come as much as you want it to. So this is where we ensure that we recognize the things in ourselves, because we cannot rely on recognition from other people, and we shouldn't rely on recognition from other people. We don't do things for others in the sense that you don't work hard so someone else will be proud of you. You might work hard so your family can, live well, enjoy good meals, or whatever it may be. But that is the payoff, right? The payoff is that they get to enjoy the good meals. It's not so they pat you on the back and say, oh, well done. It's so they live a healthy life, right? So when you do things for other people, you're doing it for a reason that is good for both them and you, rather than them giving you recognition, right? So this is where we ensure that we are taking stock of what we are doing, so we can give ourselves the recognition that we deserve and pat ourselves on the back, because we need to do that often, and build our self-confidence. And this is what this section does really well, is build a self-confidence, because you're not skipping over the small things, you're recognizing yourself for the things you do, and therefore understanding that you are growing as a person and your abilities are enhancing as well, and that's important. Goals for the past week. So what did you set out to do for the general week and for each days as well? This is, however you write your goals. For me, it is just a typical list, and I write out all my week goals I set, and I do break them down into the daily things I'm going to do. If I'm not sure how to break it down, at each day I'll look at the previous day, see what I did and see what I need to do next. But either way, every day has these set goals to do, and I don't aim for any more than 5. More than 5 is too many. And if I have really big tasks on, I reduce the amount of goals I have to do. For example, the video recording is something that I struggle to do consistently and really well. So if I've got that on for a day, I won't set too many goals, because I know that this will take a lot of my energy and a lot of my mental to achieve this. So the goals that I might set may be 3 or 4 rather than the full 5. I wouldn't set less than 3, even if the 3 goals is 1 big goal and 2 really small goals. It still have things to work towards, because if you record, so for me, if I record a video and it's only 15 minutes long, I've checked that box, and it means that the next things that I do won't be so mentally intensive. But that's 15 minutes of a 8-hour workday, or sometimes more, sometimes less. But 15 minutes in that time is not a lot of time. So you want to ensure that there are other things that you can work towards as well, rather than just wasting the time away. But it's how you structure it. That we'll go, rest of that when we go on to the goals that we're going to set for the next week. But yeah, all the goals that you have done, write them here and check them off. Depending on how you do this, for me, again, I do them in my main Notion dashboard, so I can I can just copy and paste them here, and that's how I do that. Makes it clean and simple, but whatever you want to do, put them there. What did I struggle with? So looking at the goals, seeing which ones you ticked off, which ones you didn't, or any general struggles. You may have ticked off all the goals, but you really struggled, and at the end of the week you're feeling absolutely exhausted, because you've completely used all your mental to do this, which is absolutely fine, as long as you recognize that and see that maybe this is not going to be a sustainable process to do. So write anything that you struggled with, personal, work related, specific tasks, etc. It's important to know what the setbacks or potential setbacks are. Again, for me, I recognize that I struggle with video creation and video editing. So being able to do this process allows me to see that perhaps sometimes I set too much of that video content to do in 1 week or 1 day, or I don't set enough. So, I kind of get the daunting feeling of, I need to do a lot more because I didn't do enough this week. So things like that, where you really reflect on how you are progressing and what that means in terms of your future going forward. But ensure, if you didn't struggle with anything, that's okay, but really make sure that even if it's a slight little bit, right, because sometimes the smallest problem, if ignored, can grow into the biggest dragon. So ensure that you ensure that you recognize anything there could be potential holes, or again, the potential setbacks, because although it might not be a problem now, it could grow to become one unless you address it and see if it's something that could grow to a problem, or if it's something that just happened that week and it'll be fine next week. Or if you realize that it's out of the ordinary, that's okay. But if it's something that could arise again, make sure that you are aware of it, so it doesn't throw you off too much, because it might be a small thing now, could be a big thing later. So What did you struggle with here? What will I do better next week? This could be personal, work-related, finances. And then choose one thing to focus on for next week. So you could do a whole list or whatever here, list or paragraph, whatever works for you. But things that you want to improve on from this week. And again, this could be routinely stuff as well. The point of this part is to see that there's always areas and room for improvement, but you don't want to try and do them all at once, because that will hinder you more than help you progress, because trying to implement loads of changes as well as do your general work and all your routines is difficult. So this is where you can just slowly build on it, and so the problem that you choose now doesn't become a problem next week. You know, it's something that's fixed next week, and you can go on from that. And it might be, if you fix one thing, it actually fixes a load of other things as well. But write all the things that you would like to have been better. This could be, you know, say best case scenario that you went to bed on time, you got great sleep, you woke up on time, you had a healthy breakfast, you did some exercise, you worked for all the hours of the day. You had a good, healthy hobby that really helped you progress and move forward, had a really solid meal in the evening, had a really solid evening routine, and you went to bed feeling fantastic and you woke up the next morning fantastic. That might not be realistic, but if you realize that you want to do certain things like more exercise, have a good hobby that's good for you, go to bed on time, get up early, if you realize that these are things that you might want or might want to work towards, it gives you an idea in terms of where you are right now and which direction you want to move in. And by choosing one of these things to work on, for example, going to bed early, that could have a knock-on effect of getting up on time and feeling refreshed, feeling like you're having a good day. And it might mean to do that you need a better evening routine. So that kind of fits itself in anyway, because you understand that you can't be scrolling on your phone till 11 o'clock. So you stop using your phone at 9 o'clock, which means the things that you do before that and after that are different. And everything can slightly shift over having that one little change. So write the things that you want to do better next week and then choose one of them. Goals for the month. So this is where we're taking stock of the bigger picture and then making the any changes that we need to, and then setting the steps that we're going to do the week ahead to move towards it. So the current goals that you have for the month and what you're working towards, and then make any changes underneath that. Just write them out if you have your goals. If you currently do not set goals for the month, that is absolutely okay. I found this process to be really helpful to get me on the direction, get me onto path, and make the changes that I needed to set me on a direction that I can then set goals for. So if you don't have goals at the moment for the month, that's okay, but it's something to work towards. And using this process will really help you with that, because it will align you with the direction that you want to go on and move you away from what is currently holding you back, providing you implement the changes that you set out to do. So goals for the month, write them here. Any changes, and you might make changes because this week could be a key week to make sure that you get certain tasks done and they didn't get done. And it's too much to ask to catch up next week and do all the additional work that you set out to do next week. It's important to not just be like, well, I'll do that next week and then do all the other parts that I ensure I do, because tomorrow isn't promised. It isn't promised in the sense that you're going to have a perfect working day tomorrow or next week, Monday, whatever, and you're going to be able to do all the things that you need to do, right? Sometimes life throws curveballs, often it throws curveballs. So you've got to be realistic here. So any changes that you need to make, and it might be a case of it's still a goal that you want to work towards, but the timeline extends a little bit. So any changes that you need to make here to ensure that you're going to work towards something and be able to check it off based on the progress that you have made. Again, it's that shifting, that realignment, making that 1 degree change that can propel you forward. So any changes here, write them here. This could be an additional goal, it could be a takeaway of a goal, it could be a rewording of a goal, doesn't matter, but write any changes. And again, you could do this as a list or as a paragraph, as a story, whatever you want to do to help you process what you're thinking and what you're feeling, to clearly state the changes. And goals for next week, so based on any changes that you are making, or the goals for the month anyway, or anything that you want to work towards next week if you don't have goals for the month, to help you just generally progress and move in the direction you think you want to move in, write them down here. first start with your week goals, what you want to achieve next week, and then break it down into the consequent days to ensure that you know the steps to move towards it. This is a process that, again, it does take a bit of time to get used to, and to be able to do properly and efficiently. And if you have the midweek review, again, you take stock of everything that you plan here. But it gives you the direction that you should be moving on. It gives you the task that you need to do. So when you finish your day on a Friday or a Sunday evening and you've done this, you know what the week ahead is going to look like roughly. You know the kind of work that's involved, so it's not a shock when you get to it, and you have that direction to help you move forward. And then you can make changes as you go along the way. But it's important that you set a direction first so you can make changes when you know for sure that's not the direction that you want to go in, or that it is the direction that you want to go in. Because you're halfway there, right? It's easier to say that the destination isn't one you want when you can see it. When you can't see it, it's easy to be like, oh, I know I want this or I don't want this. But in reality, until you're closer to it and you're living the reality of it, it's hard to know what it's going to be like when you're actually there. So this is a really important step. And again, it doesn't matter whether you don't know your direction or whether you do know your direction, because reviewing your current week and seeing the things that you did like and didn't like, the didn't like is even more important, because then you can ensure that you're reducing the things that you don't like. And this is, of course, it's the general menial things that, so for example, for me, struggle with video editing, I can't just be like, right, I'm never going to do that again, because it's a key part of what I do. It just means that, how I approach it might need to change. But having a stock of that and understanding that sometimes there are things that you need to do, even if you don't want to do, and applying that accordingly. But sometimes there's a case of, if you're trying to run a whole YouTube channel and you really don't like doing it, you can stop, and there are other mediums that you can do instead. But that's it for the weekly ASR and the added little goal section underneath. If you have any questions, do please reach out to me in whatever medium suits you. And that's it for this video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and goodbye. Hey, thank you for jumping onto this video. If you're interested in the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe and comment in what you want to see more of. If you would like access to the templates that are currently being mentioned in this video, then see the link in the description, and that will have the link of the template I'm currently talking about. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the video. I hope you find lots of use and value out of it. Let me know one thing you have learned or have got out of this in the comment section. Thank you very much, and I will see you all in the next video.